Hello and welcome to another art house movie review. This time I'm reviewing The Super 8 Years, directed by David Ernaux-Briot and Annie Ernaux. This is created entirely from 1970s home movie footage shot in Super 8 format. And actually, it's terrible footage. It's really shaky. It's not aesthetically interesting, apart from the fact that it looks like typical Super 8 home movies. But there's nothing in itself to draw you in. It's the same as every bit of Super 8 family footage from the 1970s. Within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I just didn't really know what I was watching. It seemed really uninteresting footage, and we have one of the subjects narrating on the footage many years later. My initial reaction was that this is really self-indulgent, and it's even pretentious. It's like she's attempting to say clever things that make it into an interesting film. For example, we early on we have this clip of Annie and the two boys coming back from the supermarket, and she describes it as a happening, and it's a really mundane, trivial clip, and I just wasn't convinced that you could call this a happening. Now, I'm genuinely not sure about this now, because I think there is a question. If you take banal, mundane home footage and you add some wisdom and insights to it later, is it self-indulgent, or is there something interesting about finding something of interest in the mundane? And actually, the truth is, for me, I'm in favour of looking for poetry in the mundane. So I'm really open to this concept, but it is a fine line whether it works or not. Now, I admit complete ignorance on who Annie Ernaux is, and I didn't know who she was. So after 10 minutes, when I was struggling a bit with the film, I Googled her. I stopped the film and Googled it. And of course, she's an established author who's not just a published author, but has won a Nobel Prize for literature. So this definitely helped because it gave a little bit of context. And one thing that I did really like about the film is she identified the moments in the footage which were moments before each of the novels were published. Now, I don't know her work, but I'm sure if you do know her work, this really adds an extra level of understanding to it. And I must say, overall, as the film progressed, my kind of negative attitude softened by the end. I still wasn't 100% certain. I definitely have mixed feelings about this film. It's directed by one of the sons, which feels a bit problematic as well, because he's also a subject of the film, and I can't help feeling that there is some self-indulgence here. Why would I be interested in your reflections on your 1970s home video? But the key thing here, I think, is the fact that she has a body of work, and I have the feeling that if you know her work, this film could actually be amazing as almost a complement to her work, as part of her work. And the fact she made it in collaboration with her son could also be interesting. So perhaps my kind of reaction against it isn't fair in terms of this broader understanding. I think fans of her work will see this film very differently than me, and perhaps I just have to accept this film isn't made for me. One thing I did like about the film is that most of the footage is of various family holidays that they had in different countries, and this included Chile, Germany, Albania, the UK, Morocco, Russia, etc. And in each country, Annie gives reflections on, and in each country Annie's reflections give insight as to who she is politically. she actually makes a lot of comments on socialism, on communism, on feminism, on colonialism, on tourism, a lot of isms. And this gives us a sense of her politics, and perhaps there is a link between this politics that made her into a successful writer. And there's something interesting, I think, about her looking back many years later and seeing these kind of clues as to who she is politically and then how that might have influenced her work. In this way, I think the film is potentially quite interesting, that you take completely banal footage and you almost extract a manifesto from it. And then the viewer that can then link this to her books, which of course I'm not able to do, will surely really enjoy this movie. A kind of final comment is that there's no sound with the footage, and that's how it is. There was no recording. So we have only really Annie's narration and quite a lot of silence. It's a quiet film. There is some basic sound added in, some birds singing or a little bit of skiing noises, some whooshing with the snow. And I think this works. I think complete silence would have actually been more noticeable than just adding some subtle sounds. But I do think there's something interesting here, that the recorded memory, the film, is only partial, it's only visual, there isn't any sound. Overall, I think for anyone that knows her work, this is probably essential viewing. For others like me, I do have mixed feelings about it, but understanding a bit more, I do feel like it is worth watching. Thanks for watching. See you next time.